Are you more financially literate than a 6-year-old? I know that the thought of Lambos and luxury homes sounds like a great idea, but really, it's death by a thousand cuts. If you get these kinds of things with your active income, guess what? That means that you're actively going to have to keep working to pay off these things. And that's how a lot of high income earners start to feel trapped. Welcome to the Whitecoat Syndicator podcast, where high income professionals reveal the practical steps on how to buy back your time and build your generational wealth through real estate investing. And now, let's get to today's episode. Hi, welcome to the episode. My name is Dr. Josh Espejo, and I am the host of the Whitecoat Syndicator podcast, here to help you and other Whitecoat and high income professionals learn how to passively invest into real estate. And if you want to cut to the chase and learn everything about syndications and passively investing into real estate, click the link in the description where you can get our free ebook, The Whitecoat's Guide to Wealth and Freedom Creation. In this ebook, you're going to learn the ins and outs of passively investing into real estate through real estate syndication. You'll learn how they work, how to find them, how to vet them, and how they can build your wealth and create freedom for you. Click the link in the description if you're watching on YouTube, or check the show notes if you're listening on a podcast. And now let's get into the topic of today. Are you more financially literate than a 6-year-old? Now I want you to think about this for a second. Now would you give $1,000 to your little brother, to your little nephew, to your little grandchild? And I'm talking a fresh, crisp, clean stack of $100 bills. I would bet that it's probably going to be a no. You're probably thinking things like, they don't know what to do with it. They might lose it. Or what would they spend it on? Or, nah, they're not responsible enough for that. But if you think about it, a lot of dentists, physicians, and other high-income professionals are no more educated than that 6-year-old. We go to school for years, with most of us never ever learning a thing about money. Other than, you need money to buy that cool car, buy that luxury home, or go on that fancy vacation. And who can blame you? At least here in the US education system, there's zero talk of money, how taxes work, or any financial literacy at all. Your only knowledge of money is probably what your parents taught you. Maybe things like, money is the root of all evil, we don't have enough of it, or that it doesn't grow on trees. And granted, yes, we're adults, we're more mature, yada yada yada, but really, we don't ever get a true formal education on our finances. We simply grow up, go to school for 4 to 10 years of our lives at university to be trained to be the best in our fields, while at the same time being used to living on a poor college student lifestyle. Then, one day, we graduate, get a decent job, and then all of a sudden, we're given all this money just to do the job that we trained literally our whole lives for. And it's a great feeling, right? You slaved away your entire life to get this big paycheck, and now it's time to get it. Time for those Lambos and fancy vacations, right? And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Being as financially responsible as a 6-year-old in a candy store? This is where the lifestyle creep kicks in. When you see X amount of dollars in your bank account, and you're able to spend X amount of dollars just because that's how you live your life. And what's even worse, because you're making X dollars and you have such a high income, banks love to loan you money. They'll happily fund your fancy cars, giant boats, ginormous palaces, and this is how doctors, dentists, and other high-income professionals get into trouble. This is exactly how it's possible for high-income earners to be living paycheck to paycheck. But don't believe me. Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, says it best. Money without financial intelligence is money soon gone. And just look at everyday pop culture. Look at those professional athletes. For example, like Mike Tyson. In the prime of his career, Mike Tyson earned about $420 million in prizes and sponsorships. But then, years later, he declared bankruptcy and was $23 million in debt. And this crazy statistic with US lottery winners, did you know that 70% of lottery winners go bankrupt despite winning millions? And despite a high income, about 25% of physicians report financial hardships. And what do these 3 types of people have in common? They're all financially literate as a 6-year-old who's had money put into their laps. Another shocking fact is that it's common for a lot of dentists to work well into their 70s. But guess what? Their retirement age is 62 in the US. And why work till you're 70? Typically, it's because they have to fund their lifestyle. With inflation so rampant and taxes being such a sore topic for high-income earners, What can we do to become more financially literate? This is where common sense money habits and multiplying your money has the ability to save you. Now, what are some of these common sense money habits? These are a few highlights from a few financial literacy books that I've read over the years. So hopefully this can give you an idea of some of the popular topics in financial literacy books. Know that naturally, you're gonna tend to replicate what your parents do for income. But you have to realize that you're the one at the wheel. This is from Secrets of a Millionaire Mind from T. Harv Eker. The next one is that it's wisest to live below your means. Taking some notes out of Dave Ramsey's book, a popular financial guru, save up an emergency fund with 36 months worth of expenses. Another one is to set up multiple bank accounts so that when you get paid, money gets automatically siphoned out into these other accounts. So you're automatically saving money for things like down payment, your tax bomb in April, and then you have a personal account where you can spend that money. You have to know the difference between an asset and a liability, where an asset actually puts money into your pocket while a liability takes it out. This is a key takeaway from Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I know that the thought of Lambos and luxury homes sounds like a great idea, but really, it's death by 1,000 cuts. If you get these kinds of things with your active income, guess what? That means that you're actively going to have to keep working to pay off these things. And that's how a lot of high income earners start to feel trapped. But if you live well below your means, live a more comfortable, frugal lifestyle at first, and you put your money to work earlier, you have the potential to grow that money to something that'll feed you for your entire life. Investing your money is the only way to fight high inflation at this time. With inflation currently being at 8.5%, high yield savings accounts and government bonds won't cut it anymore. And these quote unquote high yield savings accounts, at the time of recording, it's 1.75%. So basically, you're losing about 7% to inflation right now. Now, what are two ways that the average person can invest? Two of the most tried and true investments are real estate and stocks. Now, to be clear, since this podcast is centered around real estate syndications, I'm going to have a bias toward real estate. So be sure to figure out which type of investing really fits your needs. A lot of times, if you're around average people with an average way of thinking, they might say things like, "Oh, investing is so risky," or "You have to wait the perfect time to start investing." But let me tell you, any investment vehicle that you choose, it's going to have its ups and downs. And it's impossible to time the market. Investing is only really risky when you don't have enough money set aside for you in case of emergency, or if you have zero idea what you're doing. And education can help lower that risk, which is where I hope to fill you in on the process. But break through that limiting belief that investing is just too risky to do. Because you know what's actually risky? The dependence on one income stream. For a lot of dentists and physicians out there, I know that their sole income is based on putting their butt in the chair and treating patients. For a lot of other high-income professionals, with children especially, you're probably on the same boat. So, I want to know, how many streams of income do our listeners have? Be sure to comment below. Now that we've established that investing is a necessity, let's take a look at common investment vehicles in 2022. First up is investing in stocks. The stock market has been around since the 1700s and has made a lot of millionaires. The stock market has also crashed multiple times in the past 100 years. And according to the finance blog, thebalance.com, 8 of the most infamous crashes happened within the past 35 years, with the Great Depression of 1929 being the only one further away in history. Benjamin Graham, the author of The Intelligent Investor, aka Warren Buffett's Investment Bible, says to never trust Mr. Market, where the author characterizes the stock market as a person who is unpredictable with giant mood swings. This is Graham's way of saying the market is volatile. Don't look for patterns in the market, but only focus on your research if you want to be an intelligent investor. Next, we have investing in single-family homes. And there are a ton of ways you can do this. You can wholesale a home where you just find a property, get it under contract, and sell the contract. Or you can fix and flip homes, where you buy an old and outdated home, fix it up, make it look real good, put it on the market, and sell it for a profit. Or you can buy a home and rent it out on a long-term basis, or even a short-term basis, like Airbnb. Now, this isn't meant to be an exhaustive list, but these are just some of the ideas of things you could do with single-family homes. One thing to look out for with single-family homes or residential real estate is how the property is valued. Residential homes are sold off comparables. So this means that if it's a seller's market and properties are selling for top dollar, you're probably going to get top dollar. But this also means if it's a buyer's market, you could have some money left over on the table. Next, we have the commercial syndication space. Now this is where the terminology gets a little bit more complicated, but this is exactly why the Whitecoat Syndicator podcast was created. Now when we say commercial real estate, we're talking to real estate that was built to generate a profit. This is in comparison to residential, where it was only meant to live in. Now this means that these are buildings like dental offices, medical offices, those self-storage units that you see driving down the street, industrial warehouses like the Amazon warehouses, department stores like Macy's, or apartment buildings that consist of 5 units or more. And when the term syndication is used, it's easiest to think of it as a group investment. It's where a group of investors pool together their capital to acquire a piece of real estate and carry out a business plan. When you park your money into a syndication, it is now technically a part of a security, which is regulated by the SEC, or the Security and Exchange Commission. So, this means that there are some investor guidelines for who can exactly invest in these syndications. But if you're a dentist, physician, or other high-income earner, I'm pretty sure you fit the guidelines. Then, there's also the illiquid nature of real estate syndications, which means that once you park your money there, it's stuck there for a while. Typically, a good rule of thumb is about 5 years. But, in return for the 5 years of being unable to touch your money, a typical return is about 15% in the 5-year time, meaning that you would essentially double your initial investment in that 5-year time. But what's the best part of investing into a real estate syndication? It requires literally almost 0 of your time. Sound too good to be true? I thought that was the case too. But, as you can see by the name of the podcast, I am on a mission to show other high-income professionals that there's another, lesser-known way to invest in real estate. And that about wraps it up for today's episode. I really hope that all this information was really valuable to you in some way. Hopefully, it gave you a glimpse into the often overlooked financial literacy part of life, and informed you that it's not too late to get hold of it, and that there are really solid investment options out there. Because I know what it's like to be a high-income earner, and not be quite where you want to be with your investment goals. So together, let's achieve them. Remember, be sure to click the link in the description, where you can get our free ebook, The Whitecoat's Guide to Wealth and Freedom Creation, where you will get everything you need to know about apartment investing. Talk to you soon. I hope you got a ton of value from today's episode. Don't forget to visit thewhitecoatsyndicator.com to learn everything you need to know about buying back your time through real estate syndications.